Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a message that we received, that one of our admin received, and the message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am here on your channel because I want to share with you my own story. I am a man who is aged 43 years old, and I do come from Zambia, and I have my own story that I want to share with you. So I grew up in abject poverty, trying to build a better life for myself with no help whatsoever from anyone. All that I would do was to go to school on a completely hungry stomach. And after that, I managed to see that in this life, education will never get you anywhere, because no matter how hard I will try to work, no matter how hard I will try to achieve anything through education, it was not even helping me at all. And after that, seeing that even if you get a higher education, there are people out there that are more qualified than you can ever be qualified, finding out that you will never be able to get a job anyway. I once found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I messed things up, and after I had gotten a good woman who was going to bring me out, hopefully out of poverty, but I ignored all of that because I just wanted to enjoy money after me and my wife had started making a lot of money. Then I became a ritualist. I honestly became a ritualist when I lost a lot of money after I had been scammed from someone who was from my own country, who was staying in South Africa, who used to source some products for me. Being the oldest in the family, I found myself in an area called Nakonde. So there used to be trucks that would come to Nakonde, and these trucks, they will be carrying your mealie meal. I started working offloading these trucks because we would have to offload them sometimes manually. It was hard work, but I was such a hard worker. I quickly realized that this was an opportunity. I became an agent for people that would come into Zambia to buy the mealie meal that would have been brought by these trucks from South Africa, and then bringing it into their country. Also, I became an agent for Zambian businessmen that will be sourcing products from Tanzania and bringing them into Zambia, transporting them to South Africa. So I started connecting with other Zambians that were in South Africa, those that were also sourcing those products in that country. I created all of these connections, and they would come and I would buy mealie meal on their behalf. That is how I was making my own money through all of these commissions. But I was naive when I was making all of that money, not knowing that there were many vampires in the industry. With all the trips that I was taking between South Africa and Zambia, I used to stay at this other guy's place who was my fellow countryman. The man would give me accommodation, would give me food. So I started to treat him like he was a brother, and I trusted him very well. My business was booming. I had so many businessmen from Tanzania that I was working with, sourcing products for them in South Africa, and then supplying to them and getting my money on commission. And at that time, I had just managed to open up my small shop. So this was a shop which was going to be like a wholesale for making it easier for people that wanted to buy whatever things that they wanted to buy in bulk. So it was like a big warehouse that I had for my shop that was there in Nakonde, and still I had even bigger plans to expand into Tanzania. I wanted to buy beans, rice from Tanzania and exporting it into other countries. My business totally was booming. My wife was happy, but my wife, she did not like the fact that I started drinking alcohol, and she said that I don't like it because you have forgotten the grace that located you. You should continue to go to church. But with the money that I was making, I thought that yes, God can protect me. I have enough money. What more protection do I need from God? So there was this other trip in which I had fought with my wife, and I had told my wife that God does not exist at all. And God is just a waste of time. I told her, you are just wasting my money by going to this church, because she was now attending this Pentecostal church where they were paying a lot in offering. And I was complaining because I thought that she was being stupid. As an educated woman, she was supposed to know better that these pastors, all that they do is to steal from you. I don't even like it. I used to shout at her, it is far much better that we spend all of this money on our ancestors. And maybe it was God's punishment. I arrived in South Africa. When I arrived in South Africa, I sourced for the products. So we went to this other place where this guy told me that it was much cheaper to go to a place where we were sourcing a product that is called malt, and this could be found in Rustenburg. But the place where he took me to, it was non-existent. I was being taken from one factory to another by this friend of mine, and the product that I was supposed to buy for this client from Tanzania, it was close to 2 million rands. I trusted my friend since he had his own company, so this is the way that I used to deal with him. I would deposit money into his Zambian company, then he would pay for me using his South African company. Everything was faked, from the invoices that I received, sending those things to the clients, yet they were just fake proof of payments. They were fake, nothing was real. I transferred the money from my Zambian account into his account, and I was told to wait. This man, he had told me that the wife was supposed to go to Durban because she was a businesswoman, so it was going to be a business trip. He was going to drive, but with the kids, I even wondered. So there was no way that I was going to be able to stay at their home when they were not there. These people, they had even lied to me that this was their home that they had bought in South Africa, yet they were just renting it out. They took me to another guest house and they left me there. It had happened before that they can leave me at a place and then they can come and collect me whilst we go to see the order as it was being prepared. So I did not even think that it was that much strange. I was waiting for my order to be finished up so that I can source trucks to load and to be on my way. Then I will get on the plane and meet them in Lusaka. Then I'll be with them in Nakonde as well. But my brother, I was scammed. And if it was my money, it was going to be better. But when you get scammed and the money is not yours, the pain that you feel, it is very difficult. I only got to find out about this when I saw that there was a delay. 1 week, no product. 2 weeks, no products. Now my boss from Tanzania was giving me problems. Where is the product? Where is the product? I kept on postponing, saying, very soon, boss, very soon they are going to be done. Starting to give me excuses, electricity, this and that, as I was being told. 2 weeks down the line, no product. And that was when I realized that I was being scammed. I tried to reach out to my brother. The man could not be found. Tried threatening him, but I was going to report him, but it was just useless. The man was nowhere to be found. I felt so powerless. I returned back home with nothing, and the customers, they were on my throat. They wanted my blood. They said that I was the one who had robbed them, and they came to my small warehouse that was in Nakonde. I had other products, some that did not even belong to me. I had kept them in a stockpile because I was trying to push the price of the milli meal to sell it to the Tanzanians, and also the beans that I had bought. I had literally used all of my commission money to buy and said, when the price is okay, then I'll sell. Maybe in 3 to 5 days, then I'll sell everything and make a lot of money. The stock was taken by the owner of that product, so I just did not lose the 2 million that belonged to the client. I also lost my business. This happened overnight. I lost everything. That was the end of my success. When I saw that this was what had happened, I then decided that it was far much better for me to find help. I went to a local witch doctor and explained everything. I cried as I was in his shrine, and I said, out there are people that want my blood. There are people out there that I am owing. I don't know where I am going to get the money from. That witch doctor then felt so sorry for me. And when I was with this traditional healer, that was when I said, what? I think the devil is a better God. He knows what is human suffering. God is an evil spirit being because he does not know how us human beings suffer, feel the pain. He is always up there in the sky, walking on the streets that are paved in paradise with gold. All that is see is beauty. And as for the devil, I think that since he has been stuck with humans here on earth for thousands of years, he knows what it is like to be a human being. He knows the pain of being born in a poor family. He knows the pain of being tormented day and night by poverty. I said that when I was with this traditional healer, he kept on nodding his head as he said, yes, 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 I hear you. There is nothing that is as painful as poverty that has been inflicted to you by God. That is the truth. But if you believe in me, I am going to assist you. If you are willing, are you willing and to accept my proposal to you? That is how I became a ritualist. Since my wife had a newborn baby, we were supposed to use this baby for rituals. And indeed, we used my newborn baby for rituals. It was not an easy thing to do, but I had to do it anyway. So my wife had carried this child for 7 months. So my son was born as a premature. The witch doctor then told me the reason as to why he had chosen this. It was because premature born babies, they are born with great gifts. That is why he wanted me to use him in all of these rituals. I gladly agreed and I said, this has to happen. I have to sacrifice my son. So one day when I knew that my son was going to die, I removed myself from the house and I just went around, walking around, not even knowing where I was going. I was in pain, but I had been told that I was not supposed to cry, otherwise the sacrifice was not going to be accepted. The day that my child was going to die, I knew it. I knew that the execution was going to happen on that very same day. My wife then called me and told me that our son was not okay. I told her to take our boy to the hospital. I'll meet her at the hospital. She rushed there. She was with her friend and her brother, my brother-in-law. When my son had died, that was when I called and I told my wife that I was near the hospital. I heard her, she was crying and said the boy is already gone. Later on, when I was at the hospital, I told her that I just wanted some space with my son. I asked them to excuse me, my wife and my brother-in-law and the friend, and I told them that I just wanted to see my son, who was already in the mortuary at that time. And they excused me for a moment, but what they did not know was that in my pockets of my trousers I had these other charms that I had been given by the traditional healer. That is the reason as to why I had excused myself and delayed to go to the hospital, because I had to pass through the place where this traditional healer was staying. I asked my wife to excuse me, and then I started to rub these charms on my son's lifeless body. Then they came into the mortuary. When I started to create drama by screaming, I was kneeling down in front of him as I was crying, but it was all fakery. That was not even happening at all, for I had been told to do this by the traditional healer. They tried to console me, but they did not know that this was part of the ritual. We had done all of these things, me and my witch doctor. We buried my son, but what they did not know was that we only buried the shadow that belonged to my son. My son stayed in that mortuary. Later on, we took him from that private mortuary where I had been given some money by the traditional healer to put him there. I'll just say that the ritual where we did this by burying the body of my son, the shop, I'll say it is in Nakonde, but no, that is not where it is. I'm just trying to protect my business by not telling you where my business right now is situated. So when we were at my son's funeral, I had been given some money by the traditional healer. He said, just find a place where you can rent. Just find a factory, an empty factory where you can just rent, where you are going to be operating from. So I found one, and then it was a big one, and I rented it out. It was empty. Then at night, the healer called me. I was seated with other people at my son's funeral, but I was able to leave my body and to walk out of my body. And there I went and I was with that traditional healer. Then he showed me the place where I was supposed to dig, and I started digging and we dug, and then they showed me a little coffin. They removed my son's body and they told me to bury it, so I buried it. All of these things happened in the spirit. After we had buried my son, that was when I returned back to the funeral, and then I was able to bury my son, but it was just his shadow. I started making money, a lot of money, after my wife got so sick and from depression. To this very day, my wife, she is a barren woman, for she cannot give me any more kids, so I made her to be a barren woman. I was so worried when she got sick because of depression. I said, this woman is not strong enough. I cannot make her to fall pregnant and for her to lose another child. It is far much better that I make her a barren woman. So the task that was given to me was to impregnate 3 more women, in which I did. So I am waiting to sacrifice 3 of those kids that I had with my girlfriends. This is my own story of how I became a ritualist. I am not feeling proud of the things that I did, but in this life sometimes you are forced to do these rituals because of the situation that you will be facing. After I made money, I was able to reconnect with my business partner from across the border in Tanzania, and I repaid them for the money that I was owing them. To this very day, the people that know me, you know what they say. They said that I took money from my Tanzanian customer and I used all of that money to start my own business. When I had made enough money, that was when I decided to repay him back. I am happy when people say that, because it is far much better for people to say that I robbed my customers than for people to say to me that what I did were money-making rituals. It is far much better. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother right there. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.